हेलो एवरीवन, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। आज इस लेक्चर में हम देखेंगे कि हमने ये जो हमारा लास्ट टाइम हमने काम किया था, प्लेयर जो था वो मूव कर रहा था। इफ़ आई प्ले दिस गेम यू विल सी इट्स जस्ट मूविंग अराउंड आवर सीन। और now what we are going to do, actually we are going to get the fire effect, like whenever we will press some keys it will fire and we will release some bullets, and when the bullets will hit with some monsters or with some other stuff in our scene, they will just show us our bullet hit effect. तो ये अभी हमने करना है। तो सबसे पहले हम क्या करते हैं कि वी गेट द animation for our player. So this is our player, and if I navigate to this animation area, you'll see I got the attack animation. If I play this, you see this is just animation, and now I just uh, open the animator now, and you see I got player attack animation just right in my animator. And I introduced you know animator parameter name with fire. And if I click on this transition, you will see when your player will transition from idle state to attack state when the fire is true. And if your player is running and the fire is true, again it will navigate, the transition will navigate from run to attack animation. और जब हम अटैक करेंगे तो हम दोबारा वापस कब जाएंगे, जब प्लेयर अटैक फॉल्स होगा. एंड वी कैन ऐड वन मोर एक्चुअली कंडीशन जस्ट राइट ऑन द बैक ट्रांजिशन कि वो आइडल में कब जाएगा, जब वो फॉल्स हो जाएगा और उसकी जो स्पीड है वो 0.01 से छोटी होगी, और वो रनिंग से यानी कि रनिंग में वापस कब जाएगा, जब वो फॉल्स हो जाएगा फायर और उसकी स्पीड जो ग्रेटर होगी 0.01. इफ़ you know recall your previous concept we have done for the other transition, actually when you move from idle to run and run to idle. Anyway, you can do the same thing with the triggers, or you can use this any state transition to avoid this complex transition network, but it's just your choice how you wanna go with this. Okay, so this is what we have done for animations. Let's start writing the code now. I move to project section. I move to the player script. Now I write the code for to trigger this animation. Like this is a code: input get button down fire. So fire basically is input mapping. If I navigate to my Unity and I show you how I map this fire world with different keys. If I navigate to project setting, I open the input manager, you see I'm sorry for this noise actually. Fire is just a word, and I'm mapping this fire with the F key and mouse 0. Mouse 0 mean the left button, mouse 1 mean the right button, and even you can write other keys as well. So whenever I will trigger this fire in the code, just here it will give me effect. Like whenever I will press F button from my keyboard, or whenever I will press the left click from my mouse, it will trigger the fire event. So it means I'm mapping two different keys with a single word, and it helped me out to avoid extra code for every event. So this is what we are doing. Actually, animator.set bool fire true and animator.set bool fire false. Whenever you will push down, it will trigger the animation. Whenever you will push up, like you will release a button, it will stop the animation. If I go to my Unity and play my game, we will see okay, it's not working yet. Let me save my file. I think I forget to save it. Okay, fine, I forgot to save it. Actually, I save it now and I run the game again. See if I click on my scene game, you see the animation is working fine, and if I keep moving, you see it's even moving and firing. So this is what we have actually transitions from one state to another. Now let's get the bullet. Okay, so what is next? Actually, we are going to if you see this animation, you will see we are firing, and this is actually animation. This is not a gun. We are transitioning from one animation to another animation, keep it in mind. अब हमने क्या करना है, एक्चुअली हम एक एम्प्टी ऑब्जेक्ट बनाते हैं और इसको चाइल्ड बनाते हैं प्लेयर का, एंड वी कॉल इट अ गन पॉइंट वट एवर यू नेम यू वांट. एक्चुअली आई जस्ट मेक इट अ गन पॉइंट. you know my this object is not visible in my scene area. So if you want to make some empty objects visible in the scene area, you just give them a shape. Now if you select this inspector and select any shape, you will see your empty object is visible. So if I click on this move tool and position it somewhere, so actually I want to get the this gun in the animation. I want to get the position of that gun. और जब हम फायर करेंगे तो एक्चुअली हम इस पॉइंट से फायर करेंगे. इफ़ यू सी दिस इज जस्ट empty object, it do not have anything, just it has transform property, so we can get the position, rotation and scale from this point. हम करेंगे क्या, एक्चुअली हम ये करेंगे कि ये तो एक एनिमेशन है, यहाँ पे जो गन फायर होती है उसका कोई एक्चुअल में हमें पॉइंट नहीं पता कि वो गन कहाँ पे होती है. हम बेसिकली मैप कर रहे हैं इस एम्प्टी गन पॉइंट को उस पोजीशन के साथ जहाँ पे जब एनिमेशन चलती है तो वो फायर पॉइंट जाता है, यानी जहाँ पे एनिमेशन चलती है तो गन जाती है ना, हम इसकी वो पोजीशन गेट करते हैं. अभी सबसे पहले तो हम ये करते हैं कि इसको थोड़ा सा अरेंज करते हैं यहाँ पे और यहाँ पे, और हम अब गेम प्ले को चलाते हैं. गेम चलाते हैं और देखते हैं कि क्या जब फायर कर, देखो फायर कर रहा है तो जो हमारा गन पॉइंट है वो आगे है और एक्चुअल में जो गन है वो थोड़ी पीछे. तो हम थोड़ा सा इसको पीछे लेके आते हैं, जस्ट लाइक स्लाइडर चेंज. ओ सॉरी, आई फॉरगॉट टू स्टॉप माय गेम. होल्ड ऑन. ओके, नाउ इट्स आई थिंक गुड टू गो. if I yeah, exactly, I got it. Now if I move my player, you see my gun point is moving because this is a child of our this object. So gun point basically the child of our player, but the problem arises when I flip my player, then the gun point is not flipping with the player. So what is the problem with the code, actually? Because I'm using the flip property in the code, and if I replace this flip property with the angular rotation, you will see we got actually the right thing in our game. So let me change this. Transform dot Euler angle is equal to new vector 3 0 0 0, and I want to flip the whole thing on the 0 axis, y axis in 0 0 rotation, and for this I want to just flip it around 180. And now if I run the game, you will see I got my gun with my player. This is not actually gun, this is a gun point, and whenever I will fire, I will just get the point of this this empty object, and I will use this x-axis and y-axis position to release the fire. If I if I navigate my player with my keys, you see my gun point is just reflecting it, so you can call it a flipping. So okay, finally we got our gun point right in our scene. So what is next, actually? Let's introduce the fire now. I'm sorry for this noise, actually. Okay, well, what is next now? We are going to introduce to a fire. So let's navigate to the, let me bring it on to the right position, assets and bullets, and this one is a bullet. Actually I place it in the scene, I resize it just holding the shift button because it will resize it properly, and I apply some conditions on this. I apply a circle collider and if I zoom it out, you will see the collider is not in the right way. If I edit it, I just set its collision boundary, and then I apply a rigid body to add some physics in this object, and I change the gravity, scale gravity to 0, even though I have to attach the script with this new script, and I call it a bullet script. I create a script file now. Okay, well, we got the script file in our assets area, and we named it a bullet. Okay, so this is our bullet. What we are going to do now, we are going to introduce a speed for our bullet. Initially float speed, and we call it a 20f, 20 float point, and we make a public rigid body, and we name it RB, and we say whenever the bullet will initiate it in the scene, what it will do, actually it will add a velocity to this transform dot right multiply with the speed of our bullet. So what is going to happen with this script? Whenever this bullet will be initiated, it will call the start function, and whenever it will call the start function, it will execute this line of code, and what it will do, actually it will just add a velocity to our this object. For now, this is I think enough in this script, and now we add some other scripts for other things. We have done with the configurations of bullet. Now we move to the assets folder, we move to the bullet folder, and we make a simple prefab right in this bullet folder. We call it a prefab, and I drag this bullet into the prefab area, and I make it prefab, and I delete it now. So now this is the prefab. Finally, we have all the configuration on this prefab, but we forgot to do one thing, actually. RB dot forgot to do this because we whenever we don't have the reference to the component, we cannot make changes to the components. So here we got the reference to the rigid body, and now we are making some changes. We are adding a velocity, you can add the force and things like this, just your choice. Anyway, and we are just making it to the right, okay, right side of transform. Well, we got I'm really sorry guys for this noise. Actually, I'm suffering from flu, and I'm just making this video on the demand from some students. Okay, so well, we got our bullet ready. Let's attach a script with this gunpoint. Okay, finally script, and no, we are not going to add the bullet script with this. Actually, we are going to add a new script, and we call it a gunpoint script. Okay, so this is a gunpoint script, and what the problem in this? Okay, it's working, it's reloading script assemblies. Hold on, and now we got the script file. Finally, even you can call it a gunpoint script, you can call it a weapon, any meaningful name you wanna give it, you can give it. Here I introduce a public game object, and I call it a fire prefab. Okay, and here you say if input dot get button down and it's fire, then what you do, actually instantiate the fire prefab transform dot position and transform dot rotation. Instantiate is just a function, And whenever you want to spawn something in the scene, spawn means whenever you know want to display something in the scene, you use the instantiate function. The first parameter you passed is an object that you want to instantiate. The second parameter is a position where you want to instantiate, like what will be the x and y axis, and rotation, what would be the rotation. Even you can pass it, you can get the rotation from your other objects, or you can get rotation from something else, like even you can do this like this. So we have already studied the quadridian, I don't know what is how to pronounce this actually. Okay, finally this is गन पॉइंट स्क्रिप्ट, और यहाँ पे हमने इसको रेफरेंस देना है। अब हमने अब करना क्या है एक्चुअली, ये इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है। नाउ सीन्स में चलते हैं और हम चलते हैं बुलेट्स में, प्रीफैब में, और गन पॉइंट पे हम क्या कहते हैं एक्चुअली, ये देखो फायर प्रीफैब। तो हम इसको फायर प्रीफैब, फायर का जो प्रीफैब हमने बनाया था उसका रेफरेंस पास कर देते हैं। एंड इफ आई रन दिस गेम, see when we click we get fire. See, we are getting the fire, but it's not moving. Let's see what the problem with this rigid body attached to bullet clone. Okay. It's bullet script now, hold on, it's bullet script. Well, let me close all files, actually it's mixing me with the, okay, finally it's not a rigid body, it should be the rigid body 2D. Okay, and same with this, it's not a rigid body, because rigid body, we use rigid body for the 3D games, and for 2D we explicitly write the 2D at the end of our all the components, most of the components. See, but the problem with fire is it's not hiding when it's colliding with the something, anything. So we make some changes in the code, and we say, we go to the bullets and we say if it collides with something, public void collision enter 2D, it should destroy the object. Okay, well, now if I play the game, you see, if I play the game, you will see it's when collide it hide. So see, but the problem is if it don't collide with something, I see the object is hold on, and if I make it something like, if it don't collide with something, like if I bring it little down upward, see, we got two bullets cloned, and x-axis position is continuously increasing for them. The problem with them is actually these are not colliding with anything, and so that's why they are not destroying. Okay, so what we have to do now, we have to introduce something called coroutines. Coroutines are just like functions, but they have the feature to wait for some time, and there is also a specific way to write coroutine. So we write a coroutine like I numerator is interface, and we call it a wait and destroy. Yield, we write yield return, and here we write new wait for seconds, and we write 2. Here I'm saying wait for 2 seconds. If it do not collide with anything, wait for 2 seconds, wait for the 2 seconds, and if do not get destroyed, then again destroy the object. and call it in the start function, start coroutines, and here we go. Now, whenever your bullets will start, it will add some velocity to it and it will start the coroutine as well. And whenever it will call the coroutine, it will wait for the defined seconds and then it will destroy the object. So it means if your game bullet, does not collide with any thing in the scene, then automatically after the defined seconds it will destroy. Even you can make it like a distance covered, like if you say whenever you will bullet travel from some distance like 10 distance, 5 distance, even you can calculate the distance function in the unity, like the we know the initial position, because initial position is the bullet position, and if we get its current position and we calculate the distance, and if you say if it increases the distance from this to this, you just destroy the game object. Like there is always every bullet have some range, so even you can define the range for the bullets as well. Anyway, that's it. Now we are good to go with this. If I run my game, you see after a couple of seconds the object destroyed. Finally, we are optimized now. Okay, so we done with bullets. Now even you can make the fire effect as well. If it collide with something, you can initiate a fire effect. I think that's it in this